Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. On this week's episode, we're covering the tragic story of Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen.
Not meant to be long for this world. It's a rock and roll love story.
Yeah, in this episode, you hear about sex, pistols, drugs, and rock and roll, and sausages.
That's right. We hope you enjoy it. And speaking of that, if you are, leave that 5-star rating on Spotify, on Apple, a written review, and sit back, relax, and enjoy Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor,
History.
And copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
hey, this is Dave,
Matt,
And Zap.
and welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
where every week we cover a true crime.
Murder,
Or compelling story.
So sit back.
relax.
And comprehend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic edition of Old Dirty Basement.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's just it's getting warm out. I don't know when you guys are listening to this, but here in grand old PA, it's getting warm.
Mm-hmm. It's May in PA.
May I hear a true crime, please?
Yes.
You may.
So this was your choice, Matt.
Yes, it was.
So tell us about it.
Listening to some music. I think I was like looking at YouTube, and I just started going down those rabbit holes and looking at some stuff with Sid Vicious and Nancy. So a lot of people know about Sid and Nancy, but I don't think they really know the story behind Sid and Nancy.
What band was Sid Vicious from?
It's all before set pistols.
I've got a little drawing over here that's bald, right? And every time I hear Matt's English accent, I'm going to put a hair on it.
I was going to say there's going to be a lot of
There's
that.
going to be a lot tonight.
It's gonna be fully grown by end of this.
So I was surprised to find out, Zap, that you're not really a punk rock fan in general.
No, hell no.
Okay, I did not.
No, it's noise to me. It's absolutely noise.
See, I would have expected maybe you to like the Sex Pistols or think of them as, like I thought maybe you would have been into them a little bit.
No, to me, it's great. It's nursery school rock. It's stuff that maybe 3 and 4 year olds could come up with.
Mhm.
Like it to me, it's just noise.
Okay.
Not at all a fan.
I like the Sex Pistols. I mean, I enjoy their music. I was late to the game with punk rock or rock in general, as we've talked about. But I think Sex Pistols or the Ramones or bands like that are ones where if you want to start getting into punk rock or something, that's kind of where you start, maybe branch out from there. But yeah.
No, but punk in England, like I think, and the whole thing, the way, I mean, there's still people that are dressed punk today. Like there's still people that, I mean, look like they could be from the Sex Pistols walking around, I would say at a mall, but we don't have malls. But
Right.
you know what I mean? You still see people out there that are so into that scene still, you know, with the studded bracelets and.
Yeah, definitely the style and everything else was kind of it was a whole culture.
I think that might have been a turnoff for me too, because it becomes, if you're truly a punk rocker, it is all encompassing. It takes your whole life to be a true punk rocker, and we'll get in. We will get into that little fun fact later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's too much. It's just too much.
But I think as Dave said, like, or elaborated on before when we talk about these things, they would be the kind of people you would see out, like true punk rockers, like the Sex Pistols. That's just who they were. That's what they wore. They didn't have to like get ready to go on stage because it's like they just came from their house,
Right.
and like showed up and then played.
Yeah, I know what Zab's saying too, though. Like that whole culture, like they were just rebelling against everything. And you know, I mean, that was all part of the.
So they were punk.
They were being a punk, basically. Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, it was definitely like unique and different. And at the time, I mean, I couldn't imagine at the time these bands were coming out in the mid 70s and late 70s what the reaction was.
You can kind of see it today, except today they're being paid by big money to show up and do protests on college campuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, remember Elvis Presley was too. You couldn't really play too much of him on the radio.
Wait, now listen, that guy was a sinner. He was shaking his hips on stage. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
Right.
Hell no.
So I was curious just to see before we get started, who was the original punk band? And there's some people that say it was the Stooges, which would have been Iggy Pop and the Stooges.
Yeah, I would say them.
and there was a band MC5 who was out of Detroit about the same time, late 60s. And then you had your Ramones and all Sex Pistols and all these bands, The Damned, in the mid 70s. So
I think Iggy Pop is punk. I would say the Stooges. Actually, they're
started-
out. If you hear any like Stooges albums, like if a lot of the sampling off those is, you'll hear them in a lot of songs today.
Yeah,
And I'm talking like radio songs. The Stooges were pretty brilliant.
they were.
In doing my research, I discovered that there was an actual and remains an actual genre of music. It's the equivalent of pre-punk.
Proto-punk?
That's it. Thank you. Proto-punk.
Yeah.
It was the dawning of punk, and that's where you'll find your Iggy Pop and the Stooges, your MC5, that stuff.
All that early stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like the band that he said, MC5. I was thinking of like Bam Margera. Like
Oh, that was, who was that? Yeah. CKY.
CKY.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't MC5 the Mexican gang?
Yeah, you
Might
got to
be
watch.
that.
You can't. That's a cartel.
Or was that Chris Rock, the rap group? That was CB4. Yeah. So
Straight out of Low Cash.
Straight out of Low Cash. Yeah. Well, why don't we get into Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen?
Let's get into it.
I like her last name, Spungen. It's fun to say.
I got a fun fact on that.
Francisco. That's fun to say.
It's fun to say.
All right, away we go with Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen. Sid Vicious's real name, fun fact, is Simon John Ritchie.
He should have stuck with that name.
Yeah, he could have played football for the
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Or Cumberland Valley, yeah.
That's right. I remember when John Ritchie ran me the hell over.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I think all of us. No, but I think that name is like a cool punk name, like Simon John Ritchie,
Yeah.
especially if you're British. Just sounds good.
I love the name Simon. But I think that's just a cool name.
It is.
I dig that.
He likes to do drawings.
Indeed he does.
Or kick people off of singing shows.
There's that.
Yeah, that guy.
All right, so he was born in May of 1957. Never knew his father.
Uh-oh.
His biological didn't bother.
Nope.
During his formative years, it's alleged that his mother actually sold drugs to make ends meet.
I did see a lot of videos and things on him on YouTube, just, rabbit holing again. But they said his mom was actually addicted to drugs and did that like on the side. I don't know what else she did, like real job wise, but she was. They said she was always doing something in the kitchen. And it usually involved drugs.
Hell yeah, cooking shit up.
Yeah, cooking shit up.
So there's a story, I believe, about how he came to be. So his mom had enrolled in or had become a part of the equivalent of the British Army, right? So she was in that or did whatever she did for that. And she met some guy that was also the same thing. I call it the night guard or whatever the hell he was doing.
That sounds.
The Night Watch.
Yeah,
Night
that sounds
there
cool.
you go. The guard tower,
Yeah,
some shit.
Tower
So
Guardian.
there it is, Guardians of the Tower. So these two linked up romantically, bumped uglies,
Yeah, that means they had sexual interrelations.
sexy time. Sid was conceived. She ended up moving with Sid to some faraway land, like not Europe, not England,
Right.
like Africa. I think.
Nobody knows of this faraway land.
No, I'm thinking it might still be in Europe. It might have been France for all I know. The East Coast, whatever. Who cares?
Right.
So they're waiting for this guy. Like they're supposed to link up. Like, hey man, we're gonna go ahead and we'll see you when you get there. He just never showed up. He just ditched him. Just forget it. I'm not showing up.
Sid was conceived in a heroin spoon.
Nice.
And they injected him.
The first
to their
heroin spoon
veins.
baby.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Over the course of time, he and his mom had moved around a few times. They ended up in East London by the time he was 14. And at this time, he took the name John Beverly. So instead of Simon John Ritchie, he now became John Beverly. He took that last name from a dude to whom his mom had been married for all of 6 months. Because after 6 months of wedded bliss, he died of kidney failure.
Wow.
How about that?
It's a quick relationship.
This guy's not having good success with father figures here.
Who was the soul singer? Is that Frankie Beverly? Did you guys ever hear him?
Frankie Everly.
Beverly. Frankie Beverly.
Oh.
He was one of the Beverly brothers.
Are you sure it wasn't the Everly?
Oh.
Unless you're talking about Beverly D'Angelo.
No.
Yeah.
She's she has like a lot of houses or something. I think she's like a multi-millionaire. She invested well.
Like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay. So when Simon John Ritchie, now known as John Beverly, turned 16 in 1973 for his 16th birthday, his mom kicked him out of the house.
That's love.
Yep. No, so Matt, to your point, at this point, she was so strung out. It was just drugs all day. That's all she was doing.
Yeah, that pretty much. That's what all his friends said. They were like, yeah, Mom, yeah, she didn't bother either.
Yeah, it got to the point where, look, it's either going to be you or me. So she kicked him out.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
She just wanted zoos over, hanging out.
All them dudes.
She's like, get out of here.
All right. Not long after getting kicked out of his house, he dropped out of school, squatted around London with varying bum friends of his, and earned money by doing street performances with one of his bum friends, guy by the name of John Lydon. So by street performances, I'm saying these are guys that are standing on the corners, like one guy's playing a guitar, the other guy's playing a tambourine, and they're just singing songs.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, and they've got the open guitar case, waiting for you to throw money in or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what these guys are doing. In fact, I had read someplace, these guys would play songs that people already hated, and they would play or sing them so terribly that people would pay them to stop.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
That's what, if you hear the rendition of My Way, the Sex Pistols rendition of My Way is incredible.
Well, it was that was just Sid Vicious.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Or Sid Vicious, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty good.
And terrible.
Good and terrible.
And terrible.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay. So by now, John Lydon had taken the nickname of Johnny Rotten, and good old John Beverly took the nickname of Sid Vicious.
Which are cool names for like a band.
Sure.
think.
Do you guys know the fun facts behind that?
There were 4 Johns.
No, the Johnny Rotten and the Sid Vicious.
Well, I know the Johnny Rotten because of his teeth.
Yes. Yeah, he had rotten teeth, like really horrible teeth, so they called him Johnny Rotten.
Sid Vicious was named after a dude's hamster,
That's correct.
who was named after, give me a second, the guy that got kicked out of Pink Floyd. Sid
yeah.
Barrett?
Sid Barrett. Yeah.
Sid
Okay.
Barrett.
Yep.
I think it was spelled SYD, that guy's name. I don't know why I remember that. I watched a show about the album cover art for like Pink Floyd and all those bands, and it went into the history of those bands. But yeah, Sid Barrett, that's why that name rung a bell.
Yep.
But you wouldn't put these guys as Sex Pistols on the level of like a Pink Floyd then?
No.
Matt?
Not even close. And I'm not saying I'm even a fan of Pink Floyd.
Right.
But equally, I would certainly agree that Pink Floyd musically is great.
Talented.
They have incredibly structured songs. Like, it's awesome. And what they do and how they had done things for so long was just absolutely incredible. Versus a handful of guys that get together and are lucky to hold their hands on a guitar, let alone know how to play it, and just bang out noise. My opinion. Hey, look, opinions are like assholes.
Do you think these guys in these punk bands that were around that time just were like Hendrix and those guys they've already come and gone, and why don't we just go out and play raw and
well, the punk was a whole movement. It was the whole against like the system. It was the whole anarchy.
Well, that too. But I'm saying just the musically, if you look at like the guys that come before you, and you're like, well, I'm never going to be able to play like a solo like that or do this or that or write a masterpiece. So I'll just make like the most raw. Like,
so you're saying as a punk, like the Ramones don't have a masterpiece, or like
well, I mean, maybe for
the Sex Pistols don't have a song that would be considered like a masterpiece.
Well, I'm no musician, so I can't really say, but I would say maybe. Well, you play drums,
but I'm saying like
Zach plays guitar. Like, you guys are musicians. Do you look at musicians and go, I'll probably never play like that?
Of course.
And if I was in a band, like, I better like stay in my lane and do something simpler. And
not necessarily. So I'll give Matt certainly the credit on this one, that indeed the whole concept of punk or whatever was more that rebellion, that movement. And I think just the angst and upsettedness and whatever that was writhing in these kids at the time, it just came out. Like, instead of screaming out loud and just standing on buildings and screaming and wanting everything handed to them, which they did, they instead just, well, okay, let's all get together and, we're going to turn it into a song.
I think even now with hip hop, with rap, now I grew up and I was a big hip hop fan, and lyrically and beats wise and all that, I would say like stuff in the 80s and 90s is like the golden era of hip hop. Like, the best stuff to me was out then. And I hear people complaining about new rap art, mumble rappers and all this, they can't rap.
I can't understand a word they say.
Right. But you think in like 20, 30 years, I'll be like, oh, those guys were trendsetters and geniuses, and
But our kids growing up listen to the stuff that we used to listen to in the 90s, the 80s and 90s, even early 2000s. The way that we used to listen to our parents when they would put on like saying Elvis, like an Elvis Presley record or something. Like, what the heck is this?
No, same shit. Matt's absolutely right.
It is the same shit. Like, so we don't fully understand what they're listening to is because it's something that they didn't grow up with.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
So it's foreign to us. Like our ears aren't, like their little, whatever those things are called in your ears aren't responding correctly to what it is. But I think punk was so influential even up till today. Like, I just think it's a movement. Like, I don't think the Sex Pistols are really appreciated the same. Pink Floyd, I think, is genius. I don't know. Zap said he was kind of not into him, and you said
to be clear, I'm not saying,
but I think Floyd's songs are. Like,
I'm not going to go out of my way to listen to them, but I will admit they're a phenomenal band. Like so many of their songs with which I am familiar are great, incredible songs. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, I'm not going to go, look up a playlist to make a playlist and
it's not on there like Spotify or anything.
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah.
I got you.
But I think the Sex Pistols and just punk, even like to bands that you hear today, like I think it's just a strong. Not saying Sex Pistols are the one that started it, but it's just a strong music base, and I appreciate the music.
No, I agree. Like I said, I like them. I'm just trying to, I don't know, play devil's advocate here.
No, please.
Yeah,
because I like the devil's side of this.
He's the devil.
Look, I'll give a little bit of credit to the Ramones. Like I can do a handful of Ramones songs, but I mean, again, other than that, again, people just have different likes.
Right.
Again, hip hop versus punk versus decent rock. That you just have decent. That was a jab.
And then you have Nickelback.
That's right. That's exactly
when it all comes out at the end.
Okay, so old John Ritchie is now Sid Vicious. Let's take a break from that and let's learn about Nancy. Nancy Spungen. Good old Nancy, born in February of 1958. She was raised in a nuclear family with a mother, father, little brother, and little sister with no problems at home.
I thought you meant like by TMI or something.
Yeah.
Nope. They glowed at night.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Indeed. Now, however, Nancy was a difficult baby. But she was prone to crying fits and temper tantrums all the time.
So she was a baby.
I guess.
An actual child.
So there are babies, and then there are difficult
So she,
babies.
what is that called? Colicky.
There you go.
Yeah.
Colicky.
Well, fun fact on that, she was born with the umbilical cord around her neck.
Okay.
So that early on, she had a rough, even from the start, she was close to death, I guess, right out of the womb, So I don't know. They were saying sometimes with kids like that, there was, I think it was Ed Gein or one of the people we covered that had psychiatric issues later.
They were choked out.
Yeah, there was more than one that when that happens, and it kind of opens up the possibility of maybe some mental issues or different things.
That dude from NXS.
He did that later.
Yeah.
Like they were like that from the gate.
Yeah.
If he was doing that in the womb, that's real messed up.
That's
He's
messed
starting
up,
out,
man.
Well, despite her difficulties, she was actually a really smart girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like extremely smart. She did extremely well in school.
Mm-hmm.
But as a trade-off to that, she had very few friends. She was notorious for acting out for attention. Again, the temper tantrums, the whatever, this carried on through her life. This was, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm going to scream. I'm going to shout. I'm going to be that nuisance in the grocery store or the wherever or whenever I'm out. I'm going to, the center of attention needs to be on me.
You were like a punk song right there. Like, I'm going to scream. I'm going to shout. I don't care. Wherever I'm out. That was good.
Let's write it.
I didn't even try that.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Dang.
That's punk, dude.
I was born to be a punk rocker.
It's like,
I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. At 11 years old, she was expelled from school for ditching classes. This was public school, government school. She ran away. She was then put in a boarding school from which she ran away when she was 14 years old. When she was found, she attempted suicide by slitting her wrists. That's at 14.
Damn.
At 15 years old, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. She ultimately made it through high school, graduating early, I might add, and was accepted into the University of Colorado at the age of 16. 16.
1 year away.
Not bad. Oh, fun fact, she grew up Pennsylvania, outside of Philly.
Yeah, I was going to say outside Philly. I saw that.
Yeah.
Hometown girl.
She's been living in her something world.
White bread? Is that what they say?
He definitely says white bread.
Okay.
I love white bread, especially sourdough.
Oh,
so good.
Man, if only I had somebody who could make sourdough.
Fun fact. I just cut up, we had sourdough bread. I cut it up and put it in the toaster before I came here and did not punch down the toaster. I forgot it. It's sitting there waiting for me. It's waiting for me when I get home.
That's gonna be some sourdough.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But like a nice slab of butter on there.
That's going to be
fantastic.
especially delicious when you get home. That's going to be
It might
such
be
a nice
crusty
treat.
though from sitting out.
It's going in the toaster, bruh.
You're right.
It's going to get toasty in there too.
It's going to be so
Or
good.
crusty, I should say.
Sourdough.
All right, so she's in college, 16. She did not last long in college. She actually got expelled during her freshman year for having twice been arrested for possession of stolen property. In fact, not only was she expelled from school, she was banished from the state.
Damn.
Like banished. Get out of Colorado. Hey, Officer Vince, you know that.
I didn't know they could do that.
take them to
Yeah,
the
go
bridge.
to the
How
town
can- yeah,
line.
Take them over the bridge. No, take her the hell out of the state.
How do you do that though?
So this was a result of a plea bargain. So her dad flew in and said, "Look, man, I get it. My daughter's kicked out of college. I get this, that, and the other thing, but she's 16 or whatever. I can't have her go into prison for being found or having been found with stolen property twice. What kind of an arrangement can we come to?" And the state had said, "Okay, we'll make you a deal. We won't incur the costs of imprisoning her here if you get her the hell out of this state and she never comes back." That's essentially how that works.
Oh,
so that's a
geez.
win-win.
Yeah. I don't know how they enforce that. That'd be tough.
That is crazy.
Putting your
Man.
toe in. You know
But
what I mean?
you got to feel sorry for her, though. I mean, like,
Border protection was much better back then.
Yeah, true.
I'm just saying how smart she was, and the schizophrenia wasn't helping. I think if you go, like, at 16 to be in college is not where you want to be at 16, you know?
No,
It had to have been hard for her.
well, she was not. She didn't have friends. She wasn't good at
Yeah.
making friends in the first place.
Because I think she was so smart,
I
and,
see what
and like
you're
I
saying,
said,
but-
it puts somebody in that situation, and it's not a good situation to be in.
Yeah, you're not mentally ready for that.
No,
college
not
life
mentally,
and all that.
especially battling like actual schizophrenia can't be easy to live with.
No.
No.
So I mean, it's one of those things, and all of a sudden she's doing things, acting out, but I don't think it was her fault. It's kind of something that it's not a cool God thing.
No.
Did you see not a cool God thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
No.
'Cause they always say-
What does not a cool God thing mean?
Well, I mean, because they say God works mysteriously and all this other stuff, but I mean, there's things that people have, there's stuff that happens that you're just like that's not cool. Why would that happen to somebody?
Oh.
I'm just saying it's something that she had. It was God knows everything. He's all being. He's all around.
Thanks the
So-
Lord.
It's
Right.
it's I didn't mean it in any kind of way.
Does it matter that she was Jewish?
I think she was spongy.
Yeah. Speaking of sponging, fun fact, sponging sausages. You remember those? Dutch Master Meats? That was a Harrisburg
That was a
based
rap
company.
name. Dutch Master Meats.
Look, as soon as you said sponging sausages, I thought that was going way south.
No. Dutch Master Meats was a Harrisburg.
Dutch Master Meats.
Yeah, no, you're thinking of the cigars or whatever. Weren't there?
Those
but
are
no.
Dutch Masters.
Dutch Masters, that's correct.
Yeah, but Dutch Master Meats was a Harrisburg-based meat company. Yeah, scratching and stuff. They made a sausage. It was called Spungen sausage.
Never
They
heard
were
of it.
banging. If you lived in the Harrisburg area in the 80s into the 90s, people love Spungen.
I'll have to ask about
Yeah,
those.
yeah, definitely good sausage.
I still talk with some people who are from the hood.
Yeah, and I don't know
Spungen.
if it's any relation maybe because I think the spelling was the same of the company that owned Dutch Master Meats was called Spungen was the name of the company, but we always called them Spungen sausages growing up. Yeah.
So let's see. Kicked out of the state. She's back home outside of Philly. At 17 years old, she ran away from home and went to New York City. And in addition to working varying odd jobs, no surprise, she worked as a prostitute.
So she was so good at that. Like I think a BJ at that time was called a Nancy.
Yeah.
They named it after her.
Yeah,
No, it was a spongin.
It
a
was
spongin.
Spungen.
Yes.
For extra money, you could get a
It's
Dutch
dirty-
master,
You get a Dutch master and a spongin.
a double Dutch master. She also became a groupie. That's a band thing, following the popular bands of the time.
Do people still do that groupie? Like,
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit,
It
yeah.
doesn't-
That's never going until music stops. There will be groupies.
it seems like it was more of a like 60s, 70s, 80s maybe thing.
They are for damn sure still a thing.
Well, I think there's I think a groupie or like a fan, but a groupie or a group of women, a group of women that would do anything to be with the band, correct? But there could be women that are fans that like hanging out with the band, but don't necessarily have to have sex with the band, correct?
Look, are you bringing in Almost Famous into this?
I forgot
I just
about
thought
that
about it. I
movie.
was like, wait, that is almost
You
famous.
basically just described the plot line of the Band-Aid.
She's a Band-Aid. You're right.
Right, no. So the chicks that hang out with the band are
She
there
actually
to
has
have
a band
sex
now.
with the band.
Did you know that?
No.
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson does.
Yeah.
Good for her.
She's a singer now.
She also does a lot of television commercials.
Well, her dad was a singer. He was part of the Hudsons. They were a three group band.
And her mom was Goldie Hawn.
That's correct.
That's right.
And still is Goldie Hawn.
And still is. And Kurt Russell raised her because her dad, Hudson, who was in the band the Hudsons, he didn't bother with her.
Her biological didn't bother.
Not at all.
Meanwhile, back to Sid. So when last we left Sid, he dropped out. He changed his name. He's now hanging around as a bum in the King's Road section of London, which at the time was also known as Swinging London. This proved to be quite fortuitous for Sid. Hanging around a music scene long enough, you're bound to meet some people. In 1975, Johnny Rotten was recruited to join a newly formed band known as the Sex Pistols. In 1976, Sid formed a band known as the Flowers of Romance, which went nowhere. Fun fact, Sid was a front runner for the position of lead singer for the band The Damned. He actually failed to arrive for the audition. They just gave it to the other guy.
Yeah, Dave, I forget his last name.
Not Mustaine.
No, not Mustaine.
Hello, me.
Dave Davian or something like that. Or
Yeah, that guy.
yeah,
They just gave it to him.
Vanian, that's what it is. Dave Vanian.
Well done, Matt. I'm still out there. Hello, me. Meet the real me.
Me again.
Let's see. Let's see. Sid remained a mainstay in London's punk scene all day, every day. Like all this guy did was go to shows. Again, he was a bum.
groupie, dude.
He was just a bum. He just went to shows. All he did was beg for money and then go to shows. That's it. Shows he particularly fancied were those of the, not surprisingly, the Sex Pistols. And why not?
Yeah.
His buddy Johnny Rotten is in there. These guys came up together in school. They met in school. They did whatever. Changed their own names. They were going to do whatever. So he loved his good buddy's band. He ended up becoming their biggest fan, never missing a show. In fact, other fans of the band would come to the show just to egg Sid on during the show. Like egg him on.
To do shit, yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, do this, Sid. Come on, do it again. Do it again. Because at every show, Sid became a high on amphetamines and drunken maniac. Fun fact, this is more for Matt's sake. Sid invented the pogo dance.
Yes, the jumping up and down.
Yeah.
That's right.
They gave it to Sid.
They gave it to Sid. That actually came about as a means of him mocking people who came to see Sex Pistols performances, but who were not part of the whole punk movement, i.e. posers.
Right.
So
Huge word.
So like for Matt's sake. So let's say, Matt has a day job. Matt has a normal life, but Matt goes to punk shows. When Matt shows up and Matt doesn't have ripped shirts and a mohawk
And a cool leather jacket.
and safety pins in his nipples and weird shit, they would call him a poser.
Yeah.
Because, dude, you're not punk, man. You're straight edge, man. You're not into punk hard enough, man. You're not hard.
We used to say that to kids that showed up with cool skateboards when we were younger.
There's no scuff marks on
Yeah,
them.
no scuff marks. Yeah, I'd be like, oh, this dude's a poser.
That's
Because
right.
he didn't have the flip haircut.
Right. The board was too clean.
Yeah, the board was too clean, man.
Fun fact, he was the drummer, short-lived, but was the drummer for Susie and the Banshees.
I did read that.
Yeah.
I did
It
read
didn't last long. I mean, they didn't record it. But there was a show they were at. It was The Damned was there, Sex Pistols, Susie and the Banshees, and they were all there.
He played for a show.
Yeah, like a show. And then I think that was the show that after they were done, he was hanging around, like you said. He would just do crazy shit. He was cracking beer bottles or glasses, throwing them at the stage. One of the girls in the audience, I think, caught a shrapnel of glass in her eye and lost sight in one of her eyes, I believe. So the guy was just like a menace.
Yeah, they said there was a show in some part of London or wherever, and they said somebody was making fun of the Sex Pistols, and I guess Sid got so pissed he went outside where there was trash or whatever and found a bicycle, a chain, and came in and beat the shit out of this guy.
Beat him with a chain?
Yeah, beat him with the chain while the band was playing and stuff, and everybody's cheering him on and dancing while he's just beating this dude with a chain. Nobody stepped in or anything
God
like that.
damn, that's real messed up.
Yeah, so and they were all like, yeah, Sid, woo.
See, so again, this guy just got so jacked up on whatever high he was on. Not heroin at the time. Not heroin. But again, amphetamines, speed, and just get so boozed that he was just out of control, completely out of control.
Yeah, they said people would have drugs and Sid would just go up and like grab them from people and take them. And then like afterwards he'd be like, what was that?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I watched like a video of them performing, and there was like a documentary they were showing them, and he's like grabbing people's drinks out of the audience, downing them, smoking their whatever. You know, who knows what they have, you know, in their cigarettes? It could be tainted with whatever, you know.
Dude, weed
or something worse. You know what I mean?
There's nothing more disturbing I see. Like if I'm in the city or some shit, and there's a cigarette butt, you know, a planter or something outside where people extinguish their cigarettes, like before you walk into a building.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see bums walking by and they're sifting through to find decent enough cigarettes, and they pull them out and they relight them.
Yeah, I used to do that as a teenager. I would
Nice.
do that for
Times is tough, man.
But it was my dad's cigarettes.
I see.
You know, he would never smoke them all the way down.
I gotcha.
So I would be like, oh, here's one.
Yeah, that's different than random people picking up random
I
butts.
think my cousins and I used to do that at weddings.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then
Like, and in drinks or...
did you puke through the sunroofs of Porsches then?
No, we did not. No.
That would have been awesome.
But you do go like outside because everybody goes outside and smokes, and you go in and like grab a cigarette and find like leftover drinks. It's fun.
So at this time, the bassist in the Sex Pistols was a different gentleman. So Sid Vicious was just kind of there. He was with Susie and the Banshees briefly, but these shows he was just showing up as kind of like
He was a fan.
He was just a fan.
At
and just
this point,
out.
he was just a fan of the Sex Pistols.
But he
That's
had
all it was.
he had a good look for that scene.
He was the look. He defined England punk.
Right.
He absolutely defined British punk. In December of 1976, good old Nancy Spungen flew to London, traveling as a groupie with a punk band, the Heartbreakers. There, she met Sid the night she landed. At the time, she paid him very little mind. Touring with the Heartbreakers, she was bound to be introduced to other punk bands. In this case, she swiftly came to know the London punk scene and the Sex Pistols. And at every show to which she went, she was bound to see Sid. The two began to run in the same circles and eventually became lovers. In February of 1977, speaking of bassists, Glenn Matlock, the bassist for the Sex Pistols, left the band. Now, despite not being able to play bass, Sid Vicious was recruited to take his place. In March 1977, Sid and Nancy moved in together. By this time, Nancy was a heroin addict and was soon to introduce Sid to it.
Yeah, so that Glenn Matlock, that was the guy that was originally in the band. And they said he actually had musical talent. Like he was a very good guitarist, and he played bass. The other guy was the guitarist, Jones, I think his name was.
Steve Jones.
But so
Sid actually asked him for lessons. They said to Glenn Matlock,
Well, there was a thing with the guy that kind of put this whole thing together. His name was Malcolm McLaren.
Yeah, I'm sorry for starting over myself there, but there's so much underlying stuff that we will get through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in hindsight, looking back, like this Glenn Matlock was just a fucking asshole, like a real asshole. Like he took people's lives and just wanted to make it into theater.
Well, you're talking about Malcolm McLaren.
What did I say?
Or Matlock.
You were saying Matlock.
I meant to say
was the...
Malcolm McLaren. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so that McLaren almost was putting this super group together, like based on not so much super group, but like based on like the looks and everything else like that. So he thought Sid Vicious had more of a look.
The theater, yeah. He's doing it for the shock value, you name it.
Now, did you guys see at the time there was a TV appearance that kind of spawned all this for them to get rid of the Matlock? He was kind of there's rumors that this McLaren pushed him out and had Johnny Rotten and everybody turning on Matlock, and now I'm thinking of the show from the 80s, Matlock.
Boom, boom. With Andy Griffith. But
they went on like almost like a equivalent of like a Johnny Carson or something over in England.
Yep.
It was live though, and the Sex Pistols went on there. They had a record deal with EMI at the time.
Okay.
And they went on this live TV show, and McLaren was like, look, behave yourselves. Don't do anything stupid. Well, they go on and they're swearing and like just acting
That's
like
what
maniacs.
the Doors did that too when they told
Actually, Susie in the band, Susie, she was there. There were a couple girls behind them. And this guy was like, they were going back and forth. He was like, you got 5 seconds left. Do you have anything else to say? And they were like, yeah, fuck off or what, I don't know. And it was all on live TV. So after that, EMI was like, you guys are done.
Right.
And that Matlock had enough. He was out.
I mean, it makes sense. He can already see this thing just going way too far. Like, look, we're just here for the band. We're trying to make music here. Malcolm, Like, fuck you and your shock value, like what you're trying to do here. You're trying to get us stirred up, and you're trying to get everything stirred up into something that doesn't need to be, man.
I'm surprised that Nancy would have went for Sid before he was in the band. You know what I'm saying?
Doesn't surprise me that not after a month that Sid is now the bassist, despite not being able to play bass. Within a month, him and Nancy are living together.
Well,
that's Nancy's ultimate goal. This is like Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain.
I got you. Yeah.
No, they're Johnny Rotten actually in the movie, and also he does it. Friends of his were at this party, and I guess it's where Nancy was already going to all the concerts, hanging out. So they were at this party, and Johnny Rotten and Sid were sitting there like how we're sitting here like this.
Just
they were like,
yeah,
just bullshitting, had blankets on them and stuff at the party. And I guess Nancy was high or whatever, was like walking around looking for people to hook up with. And she saw Johnny, and she goes to like get up to him. She's like, come on, let's have sex. Let's do it and stuff like that. And Johnny Rotten was all pissed. He's like, I hate American women. He's like, oh, you want sex? You want sex? He's like, sex is boring. He's like, get away from me.
Want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess Sid was right next to him. So she turned over, started rubbing on Sid. Sid was like, whatever, like, let's get it in.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they said after that, he was hooked.
And he was probably like 20 at the time.
19, yeah.
20.
And well, some people were saying that was his first.
Oh, wow.
And I guess
that doesn't surprise me.
I guess she knew so much, like sexually. I guess Sid, his world was just rocked, and like after that, they were inseparable.
A couple other things on that. Malcolm McLaren, who's like the kind of behind all this. He had a boutique called Sex.
Yep.
And that's kind of where they got the name Sex Pistols from. He started that boutique after Alice Cooper was visiting over there in England and came into a store at the time looking for he wanted like something unique, like different, like a shirt for his look. And he started thinking, oh, I could tie that into music and I should get into music as well. And that's when he decided at that point, that was in like 1972, like at some point I want to get into managing bands and tying the look to the bands and doing all that. So that's kind of where he came up with the idea of like the Sex Pistols and having a look and doing the music as well. He also was he was involved with the New York Dolls.
Yep.
He was involved with Adam and the Ants. I'm sorry, Adam and the Ants and Bow Wow Wow. Remember them? The 13-year-old girl. I want candy.
No. Oh, that was them.
Yeah.
That was her.
Yeah.
That was a chick.
Yeah.
I thought it was a group.
No,
but the girl was like 13. That was the singer of that song.
I had no idea.
I thought you meant Little Bow Wow.
No, that's the rapper.
Oh, okay.
See, and I was thinking of the lyric from Snoop Dogg.
Bow Wow.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, Bow Wow Wow.
Yippee yo.
Yeah, but he was involved with all them.
Look at how this all ties together.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. All right. So, Sid's now a Sex Pistol. After having been dropped by 2 record labels, the Sex Pistols signed with Virgin Records and released their first album. And despite being the band's bassist, almost none of Sid's bass playing appears on that album. Now, there is one song, and Matt, tell me if I'm wrong, you're the punk master here. To my knowledge, there is only one song, but his bass track on there is turned down so low that it sounds almost like way faded in the back rhythm guitar. And actually, Steve Jones, the Sex Pistols guitarist, re-recorded what's now on that album as the true bass track for that song, that one song. But again, every other song, like if there's 10 songs on that album, 8 of them were recorded by the guy that quit, and that stuck around. Glenn, what's his name? Glenn Fry?
Yeah.
Glenn Matlock.
Oh, Glenn Matlock.
Yeah, Matlock. So, so 8 of the 10 were done by Matlock, not Andy Griffith.
Right.
And 2 were basically 2 were the bass was done by Steve Jones.
Yeah, so he's just there for eye candy.
He was there for eye candy.
Well, this ain't in a live show.
Just like Matt and I on this podcast.
That's it, man. You guys are here for the looks, man.
Yeah, just eye candy. That's it.
But they're saying like a live show that that Sid couldn't even play like a full song because of just being so messed up, so like just doing so crazy stuff. Yeah. Like he couldn't even play a whole song.
They had they said on some of the early shows, many of them, they had somebody behind the curtain playing.
That's awesome.
So he's basically out there like just strumming, doing nothing, but he's not even plugged in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They said like he I think he just played like a power chord, right? He's just like dum 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 like the whole time.
I mean, that's what I would be doing. I can't play.
But yeah, I mean, if you can have
I can't play bass either, but I'm just saying like if they teach him
playing, sure, why not?
Right. I don't even know if I could look like I'm playing.
No, not even.
I don't even know what to do. You know,
It's like watching Michael J. Fox do the guitar work in Back to the Future.
oh, you can tell on that.
No, he was trained for that though. Like he actually knew how to play. It just wasn't what he was playing.
But that's what I like. See, when people know, like, I love that in movies where people call out bullshit that know, like, oh, that's bullshit. That's not real. Like,
Right.
just a movie, I don't catch it because I'm not a musician. I don't play guitar. So that's interesting.
Take a look. You'll see it.
Yeah.
the best if you look back on Saved by the Bell, like when they had like their bands.
Oh, is it
God.
bad?
Those are great.
Is it bad?
Like they're like you hear like a cymbal, like when what's his name, Mario Lopez.
Screech?
Yeah.
No, Mario Lopez is like playing the drums. It's like a ching, ch, and he's going like this,
Yeah.
just hitting the air.
See,
You're like, what the hell's he doing?
My only chance is when somebody's playing with himself in a movie. I'm like, that's not how you do it. That's not real.
He's faking it.
Yeah.
All right. So, not for nothing, but absent linking up with Nancy, joining the Sex Pistols may have been the worst thing that ever happened to Sid. So, understand it. Like, prior to this, he was just an overly excited fan. Actually, joining the band afforded money and publicity.
Mm-hmm.
And every show thereafter was done for more shock value than music. And that's shit we've talked about. Sid had been into booze and speed and other drugs for quite a while. It was Nancy who'd introduced him to heroin. The two became inseparable, and both addicted to heroin, both into their shared volatility with one another. The Sex Pistols, now with Nancy in tow, toured in varying parts of Europe from July 1977 to October 1977. Their debut album was released at the end of that month. Sid and Nancy's tumultuous relationship continued. In January 1978, the Sex Pistols made their way to the United States to tour. Nancy was forbidden to join, and Sid went on a strict methadone regimen. The tour lasted 2 weeks. It ended on January 14th, and it would be their last. Johnny Rotten quit the band that night.
Mm-hmm. So their album, Nevermind the Bullocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here are the Sex
Sex
Pistols.
Pistols.
Or Here Come the Sex Pistols? I don't know. Oh, you know what that is? Bullocks? Bollocks?
So bollocks, it has multiple meanings.
Yeah, it's like testicles, right?
So
balls.
Balls is one. Also rubbish.
Crap. Yeah, it's rubbish. It's not true.
Oh, okay.
Bollocks.
It's like bullshit.
Correct.
They're calling
Oh.
bullshit.
Yep, exactly.
Oh,
Instead of
okay.
bullshit, bollocks.
So never mind the bullshit.
Yep. Or never mind the testicles.
Never mind the balls. Okay, I wonder which one.
Yeah, I don't know. They were saying that Nancy was the one. Like the Sex Pistols were all kind of like grooving and stuff together because they started getting some recognition, hanging out, and she was the one that would put in the Sid's head like, "Why are you with this band now? Like
You're better. Than
yeah, you're
that,
so
all
much
that
better
shit.
than these guys. Like you don't need them. Why aren't you the lead singer? What does Johnny have that you don't have?
Or why are you away from me? Like, why are you out of my sight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
She was.
It was weird, man.
She was a little crazy,
Little
a little bit.
schizophrenic. I wonder if you're
Yeah.
schizophrenic, like if you know your other personality. Like, do you guys talk?
Yeah, you wonder about that. I also think about their ages at this time. Like we're talking about them. They're 19, 20 years old. Like they're kids still, figuring everything out. And it's just like, that's so much to take on and handle at that time.
Hell yeah.
The fame, the money. I don't know that this is a lot of money they're getting, but more than they had. And it's just a whole lifestyle.
So we were talking about that Malcolm dude, the manager or whatever,
Malcolm McLaren.
Malcolm McLaren. So this asshole, instead of booking them in like New York City shows or LA shows or something where punk is actually good and popular and people are going to go see him, he booked them in Texas.
Yeah, to probably keep it, probably for the drugs though, to keep
Dude,
them away.
He was he had them booked at cowboy bars. Like, these people are into country, and I'm not talking the country that
like
even we
Texas
grew
country.
up with. I'm talking real deal Holyfield original country.
Right.
They can't stand punk bands.
Right.
So by the time these guys are done with this 2-week tour of, again, just cowboy hick places,
Oklahoma.
these guys are pissed, especially like Johnny Rotten or even Sid. Like, they couldn't stand each other. The fans couldn't stand the band, and the band couldn't stand the attendees.
Yeah, imagine going to a Sex Pistols show in like a cowboy hat, like you just got done listening to Willie Nelson in your Ford pickup before you pulled up in there.
I liken it to, imagine that. So you see, there was the evangelical churches on television, right? The televangelists, and they have the crazy ass, the choir singing and all that. Imagine going to one of those churches and the Sex Pistols start playing. That's exactly what it is.
Pretty much.
I'd go to that church.
These people wanted nothing to do with the Sex Pistols. This guy was just a jerk, just to create a fight between the band and the fans or the people in attendance.
That's wild. I was wondering maybe if he did it to keep him away from like the drugs, because it'd be hard to land drugs in like some of those towns. You know what I mean? Like, I can't send them to New York or LA because of maybe not.
What did you hear? McLaren sent him to Holland. That they were trying to get when they were trying to get Sid clean, like away from Nancy.
Isn't that like the worst place to go because everything's legal there?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They were like, "What the hell is he trying to do?"
Yeah.
Why did you have this?
Because I couldn't see you through Dave's head.
Oh no, I didn't know if you were like, "Oh, we're going into that."
Oh no! I'd let you know. I can talk to you.
Yeah, but McLaren was all like,
I
"Yeah,
wanted to
I
see
got a
your
great
sweet face,
I got a
man.
great place for them in Holland," and they're like, "Is that the best idea?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now bandless, Sid flew from San Francisco to New York City a few days after the Sex Pistols broke up. And on his flight, he nearly overdosed on diazepam, methadone, and alcohol. He was in a coma when he landed.
He sounds fun.
Yeah.
I would love to have been on that
I
flight.
know that would have been a great flight.
Well, I think of that scene from the Leonardo.
Oh yes, Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Wolf of Wall Street.
For Wall Street.
When he wakes up and he's tied with seatbelts to the thing.
He's like, "What's going on here?"
Where are the lewds? It's okay,
Yeah.
man. I got him shoved up my ass. It's all right.
No, what was the drug that they were waiting on? Remember the one he finally took towards the end? They found him from like the 70s where they don't make them the same anymore.
Quaaludes?
Quaaludes.
It was a Quaalude,
but it was
for
a
sure.
certain type of Quaalude.
It was
I don't know,
so
something
in
like
the Wolf of Wall Street. There were these old. I mean, Matt's talking about it, and I can't remember the exact name, but yeah, it's these white.
Or they were
huge-
yellow, these Quaaludes.
or were they yellow?
Yeah, they were these yellow
Oh,
Quaaludes.
lemon something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but
It's all right.
But yeah, like they were just waiting for like the specific time and date, like the perfect day to take these Quaaludes because they don't exist anymore. So they were saying like the
it's
high,
like a bottle of champagne.
yeah, like the
rolling
high
out.
was incredible.
Incredible.
And they were like, wait, I think these things are bonk. So they start
didn't even
taking,
work.
yeah.
Next
And
thing you
they
know,
yeah, he can't even walk.
he wrecks a Lamborghini.
Yeah, he's like, nothing happened last night. Now that's getting high, man.
Yeah.
Like people say they smoke a joint or something today, and they're like, man, I was real high. But like those dudes took drugs back then.
Real drugs.
Yeah, real drugs.
Okay, coma when he landed. Shortly after being released from the hospital, he reunited with Nancy, of course. In April, again, 1978, the couple flew to Paris, where Sid was to film a movie about the Sex Pistols. While there, he recorded 3 cover songs, in addition to doing copious amounts of heroin with Nancy and holding up in their hotel room most of the time. Nancy being Nancy, the one singular day that Sid left and went to record these songs, he returned to find that she'd slit her wrists. Now, this is not intending a suicide. Rather, this was just a cry for attention. Just superficial, as it were. The two returned to London and blew every cent they had. In an effort to get some money for a flight to the United States, Sid played a live show with Glenn Matlock. That's the guy he'd replaced in the Sex Pistols.
The original bassist.
And 2 other dudes. Sid was the singer in this one-night band. It's true. Interestingly enough, Nancy sang backing vocals into a mic that wasn't plugged in.
That's funny that you say that. I went to a emo night.
Yeah.
So they had bands play before, but the whole emo night thing was like just songs, like emo songs
Like
from
DJing it.
Yeah, the guy was DJing, but these people would come up on stage and they just hand them mics, but the
But they
mics weren't plugged in.
Oh,
So these
man,
people
that's
think they're
wrong.
like singing. You see them up there and they're just like, dude, you're not singing.
Yeah.
It was funny. That's kind of what they did to Nancy.
I just love
wrong.
that there's something called emo night.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I like it a lot.
Emotional.
People just like to cry.
Then I think I sent you guys. They had like sad packs there.
You did.
What's that like?
What's in it?
I don't know. I wasn't paying $15 for a sad pack.
sad pack.
But I think it was like a tissue.
to cry?
A
Yeah, to
bullet,
cry. Like a bullet.
Mascara,
a knife, maybe.
I'm so sad right now.
black hair dye.
Well, now with some money in their hands, Sid and Nancy flew to New York City and settled in at the Hotel Chelsea.
That became home.
Fun fact: Hotel Chelsea, New
Yeah.
York City. Check this out. Look at these names that stayed there.
Check it.
Yo, check it.
What
I don't know
is
if he
it?
stayed there though. Ali G would have been nice. So as far as writers go,
Yeah.
or authors, poets, all that stuff.
Sure.
Mark Twain, Jack Kerouac.
Wow.
Okay, in the movie world, these are just some names. There was a list of way more, but I just picked out a couple that right off the bat I was like, oh, I know these people. Stanley Kubrick, Al Pacino, Ethan Hawke. From the music world, Bob Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, Madonna actually in room 822 took pics for the book from 1992. It was called Sex. They actually took the pictures in that Chelsea hotel. So yeah, that place has some history. Much like if you guys want to go back and listen to Cecil Hotel, we did that a long time ago. Yeah.
Huh.
So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, the Chelsea's always been a bit. I mean, it was like they said, it was a shithole too.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a very nice hotel or anything. It was just, I think, a place for.
Well, I have a feeling
people
that
to say I stayed there.
I have a feeling that this place got popular thanks to
all these people.
These people that are staying there. Well, thanks to one in particular, happens to be Sid Vicious and Nancy. What's her dumbass?
Spungen.
That's it.
There's some good sausages.
Yeah, they are. I'm telling you, man.
The spongy sausages.
They're not around anymore, unfortunately. But
well,
is she?
So if you find if you find a sponge, it'd be like one of those yellow Quaaludes.
Yeah, right.
Could be.
Yeah.
Now in New York City, Nancy became Sid's manager.
Imagine that.
The two pieced together a band for him in which he sang. All shows were booked at a place called Max's Kansas City. It's just a club there. Friends of Sid claim he made good money for those shows, though all of it was blown on drugs in their hotel. On October 11th, 1978, Sid and Nancy hosted a party in their hotel room. Sid being Sid, he ended up ingesting close to 30 barbiturates that night and was out cold.
Now he probably weighed like what, 115, 120 pounds
Yeah,
at best.
big.
At best,
He was a tiny, like he was kind of tallish, but he was a tiny dude. So I mean, 30 barbiturates.
You don't find many fat bums.
No.
So
You don't find many fat drug
Junkies
addicts.
either,
Yeah,
there's that.
yeah,
That's a good point.
yeah.
But there's a thing with tolerance, though, too. He's been doing it for so long, and I think that might come into the story later.
Maybe.
But so he's probably just his system's so used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, think about alcohol. Like, you see people, I knew some skinny guys in high school. I don't want to name any names, but they could drink a lot of beer.
You don't even know.
But they could pound some beer for their size.
They sure could.
You know.
They sure could. So at this, at this party, 30 barbiturates, and he was out cold. Now, plenty of people came and went to this party. Sid actually slept through most of the people coming and going. In case anyone doesn't know, a barbiturate, right? So it's a sedative. It's a sleeping pill. It provides just a prolonged hypnotic state. So
what are the street names for the barbiturates? What the hell are they called?
Well, I don't know if they do call them anything. I know that a Quaalude is a lude.
A lude, but no, there was another name for barbiturates. I'm trying to think.
Disco biscuits?
No. What the hell are they called? No, I guess I don't know. There was a name that I think people called them before, like before you knew they were like a barbiturate.
I don't know.
Did you ever go to a bar and somebody left with the bituate?
Barbiturate.
Jesus Christ. Nice. Well played, sir. Well played.
Oh man, I was there. That's a barbiturate. Oh yeah, I got some of them.
Who's that barbiturate? Oh hell no! Who's that barbiturate? Nice. The morning of October 12th, 1978, hotel staff find Sid Vicious roaming the hallway, and they find Nancy dead in the bathroom of their room with a knife wound in her abdomen. Kind of creepy.
Damn.
Stoned as hell Sid gave some conflicting reports. At first, he admitted there was an argument, which meant nothing because these two argued all of the time. Then he claimed to have stabbed her, but he didn't mean to kill her. Then he claimed he didn't remember anything. Then he claimed that he saw her fall into the knife or onto the knife. So he just gave all these different stories. Again, you're talking to a stoned out, drugged out, just waking up dude. Ultimately, Sid was arrested and soon after released on $50,000 bail, which was paid for by the Sex Pistols record label Virgin Records.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, these excuses, that reminds me of the Dennis Rodman story that his girlfriend walked in with him with like another girl.
It wasn't me.
And he was like, she fell out of the ceiling.
Did she ask him?
Under the bed, naked.
Did she ask him what barbiturate?
Yeah, what bitch you with?
I see.
But yeah, he was like, nah, she fell through the ceiling. And then he's like, come on, dude.
Was the ceiling still intact? Oh, that makes it even worse.
I didn't even hear it. Dennis Rodman.
Look, I get if there's maybe some ceiling tiles missing. Maybe I would believe that.
Oh, maybe I slipped. And the ceiling tile. And
Yeah, the ceiling was totally intact. I think it was Carmen Electra, maybe.
She fell out of the ceiling.
No, she was the one maybe that walked in on him.
Yeah.
And,
And of course that makes sense because if you're going to cheat on anybody, why wouldn't you cheat on Carmen Electra?
Yeah, well, you know what they say.
Oh man, your game got to be bad though. Like Carmen's walking in, like, what are you doing with that girl? And oh, I'm sorry, Carmen.
She fell out of the ceiling. It happens, man.
She was
and still is.
Wasn't she with Prince too? And she was also with not Perry Farrell, but who the other guy from the
Dave
Navarro. Yeah, she was in Navarro.
Yeah, Jane's Addiction.
Dude, she's not ugly, like at all.
No, that's what I mean. But
it's what they say.
Yeah,
it's what they say.
But that's what I mean. Like a girl like Carmen was where she's like a side piece for him. He's like, yeah, shoot, I'm sorry, baby. Should mean nothing.
Yeah, she fell out of the ceiling.
Man, that's the best. No, I'm sorry, baby. She didn't mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
What are you talking? That woman right here? What do you? No.
Wait, what woman?
What are you? You're crazy.
You're seeing things.
You're schizophrenic.
I don't see a woman. That would be the best. Forget that she fell through the ceiling. Just try to convince that. Completely gaslight the woman. Like, what woman? What are you talking about?
Yeah, like no, the one right there.
What are you talking about? There's no woman here.
He starts fanning her with like dollars, like dollar bills. Like, here's a couple hundred. Don't worry. Go get a purse.
That's hilarious.
I'll find the clip for you. I got to play it for you. I think it was on Stern.
What, they have a clip of like falling? Oh, it's on. Okay.
No, he was talking about it.
They had like a Ring camera or something.
I can't wait to never try that.
Yeah, right.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so Nancy's dead as fried chicken. He's out on bail. All right. Sid was now out on bail, and investigators were stuck. Let's remember, Sid was a drug addict in a volatile relationship with a schizophrenic woman. Sid had little to no memory of what happened that night. Anything that actually might have happened in and out of blackouts were blurred with whatever might have happened in his imagination. Of course, theories on what actually happened were all over the place. Sid and Nancy got into a fight, and Sid did it. Sid and Nancy got into a fight, and Nancy fell onto the knife. Nancy got angry with Sid for being absent, i.e. passed out, and stabbed herself in hopes of getting his attention, just like she did with that fake wrist slitting when he went to record songs when they were in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy attempted to kill herself. Nancy wanted to kill herself, but Sid helped. One of the party guests stabbed Nancy while attempting to steal cash they kept on hand. But above and beyond all of this, the knife had been found in plain sight, wiped completely clean of blood and prints.
Yeah, that's sketchy.
So right away they're saying that they were saying it was a drug dealer or people that like were going in and out of there. Somebody came in, like were pissed at Nancy was still somewhat conscious. They wanted money, they needed something, and they just stabbed her.
The night before, there was a drug dealer. They called for drugs, and he was supposed to be coming delivering. She had like $1,500 cash.
Sure.
And she was like, I have the money here. And I think the money went missing, which was also a red flag. Like, where'd that money go?
Mm-hmm.
And they also went over for dinner the night before with friends down the hall and brought a bunch of memorabilia, Sex Pistols stuff, and he gave the guy his leather jacket, Sid's leather jacket. So who's to say? It could have been drug related. It could have been, like he said, he could have done it in a drunken stupor. It could have been a number of things. So.
I read 6 different possibilities, and every one of those that I read was from 6 different people that will claim that they were either with the police, or they knew Sid, or they knew Nancy, or they knew somebody. Like everybody, these were all just opinions. What's funny is this never ends up going anywhere.
Yeah, they never, yeah.
But every one you said makes sense. It could be anything. That's the whole thing. It's like a bunch of druggies in a cheap hotel. She ends up with a stab wound, bled out, dead. Nobody knows what happened.
Well, one thing they said for sure that they think was not a possibility is her stabbing herself because you would have hesitation wounds.
Oh, sure.
Where you're not sure you want to do it or whatever, but this is just like one plunge, boom, and done. So, I don't know.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. Well, weeks went by, and Sid stuck to the provisions of his bail. Good old Sid.
Yep.
He signed in every day at the local police precinct. He visited the local methadone clinic every day for a slow and steady detox. And the last provision of his bail, do not go to nightclubs. Sid even got himself a new girlfriend, some broad named Michelle Robinson. Then, on the night of December 6th, 1978, Sid decided to go out for some fun. He went to a nightclub, shockingly, got into a fight, and ended up being charged with assault. Having violated a condition of his bail, Sid was sent to prison the next day. A month or so goes by, and we're now to January 18th, 1979. Sid appeared in court and was released on $10,000 bail.
That's big money back then.
Well, that's smaller than the $50,000 he had first gotten for Nancy's murder.
True.
But all right. Less than 2 weeks go by. February 1st, 1979. Sid is released from prison, having completed his prison enforced detox program.
He was squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean.
Mm-hmm.
He had a friend of his, of course, get some heroin and bring it to his girlfriend's, Michelle Robinson's, apartment. Later that day, the heroin arrived, along with Sid's mother and a half dozen other people with whom to share it. During the night, still very high on heroin, Sid took 4 Quaaludes to help himself sleep. He was found the next day by his mother, dead.
Mm. So that night before, there was some friends there. One of the friends was Jerry Only from the Misfits.
Correct.
Yeah. Story about Jerry Only. So I have some friends that were in bands, and they were way into this punk rock music and stuff more than I was. I met these guys out of high school.
Not just Jerry Only.
No, not just Jerry Only, all of them. But they had a Misfits record, or it might have been a CD at the time, or cassette, and on the back they had a thing called the Fiend Club. The Fiend Club is the fan club of the Misfits.
Okay. So
they called this phone number thinking like, oh, I wonder if it still works or if it's still active. And this is in like the 90s now.
Sure.
Misfits are early, 70s, 80s, late 70s, early 80s, I would assume, is when they kind of got their start. They call this number and a guy picks up, hello. And they're like, is this the Fiend Club? And it was Jerry Only. And they got to talking to him, and they were like, hey, we're big fans of your music. I can't believe we're talking to you. This and that. He invited him up. I think he was living on like a farm or somewhere.
Sounds like some illegal shit.
No.
Awesome.
Like
No. So they called and talked to him, and he invited him up. They went up, hung out with him, and all kinds of stuff. And like, I think he signed some stuff for him or whatever else. But this is Jerry Only from the Misfits, who, if you know the Misfits, you had Glenn Danzig as the lead singer.
Yep.
Jerry Only is the big muscle-bound dude that I think he plays bass or guitar.
I mean, Glenn Danzig
is a pretty big dude too. Yeah,
No,
you're
but
gonna get
Danzig's big, but he's small big. Like he's probably 5'6",
yeah, he's
5'7".
small.
This
Gotcha.
guy's like 6'1", like a brick shit house. It's like, you know him when you see him. He's actually, I think, the only member that's been there the whole time.
He's the Spud Webb of Misfits.
The Danzig was, yeah, but this guy is massive. But they said he's like the coolest guy, Jerry Only. And this guy now, Jerry Only, I saw like a YouTube video he was on maybe a couple years. He's still ripped. In great shape. Yeah.
60 what? He's probably 60.
He's early 60s probably.
62, so yeah.
I can't stop thinking of, have you two seen the movie Pain and Gain?
No.
No.
Were you into the Misfits at all, Zap?
Wait. So
Pain and Gain, didn't see that one though.
Pain and Gain is worth a watch. It's a true story. So it's Mark Wahlberg and The Rock. So I don't know if you're aware, like Mark Wahlberg
missed that one.
Like he's like this tall, and then The Rock is
Big,
incredibly tall. True, it's a true story. You got to see this movie. You've got to.
I'll watch it.
That's anyway. I think of when you explain the difference between Only and Danzig.
Mm-hmm.
I think of that. I think of the two in that movie. It's good. It's worth a watch.
No, don't get me wrong. Danzig's a muscular dude, and I like Danzig. I think I think
Danzig
cool.
muscular dude. I like that.
I mean, but Jerry Only is freaking huge, man. He's like just like
He was a bassist. Yeah.
I think he was the bassist.
Matt, to follow up on your question, I was not into the Misfits.
Dang, dude.
No, for real.
Misfits, no Danzig, no Misfits.
I like how they have like almost like a 50s style to the like with the punk. Like he could sing. Like Danzig to me had a good voice.
What do you like?
Of course.
No, that's typo.
That was typo negative.
Yeah.
So I liked Danzig's one popular song.
Mother.
Correct. But even that got annoying after a bit. I couldn't stay with it.
I can respect that. That's cool.
Again, different strokes, different folks.
That's right, man.
Some people like spongy sausage. Some people like
Crispy sausage.
cased sausage.
I think you would like Spungins.
So, Dave, we were discussing earlier, in fact, there was at some point a suicide pact, or allegedly there was a suicide pact.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there was a note found in Sid's pocket, which read, and I quote, "We had a death pact, and I have to keep my half of the bargain. Please bury me next to my baby. Bury me in my leather jacket, jeans, and motorcycle boots. Goodbye."
So this is the night that he overdosed.
Correct.
I didn't know he had
wow.
a kid.
My baby.
My baby.
Yeah.
That's wild. So I was wondering if, I heard about that and read that he had a note, and I didn't know if it was a note they found a note at the scene of Nancy's death, but no, this is when he died.
This was in his pocket.
Oh wow.
I don't know. Interestingly enough, in the course of this denouement, Sid's mom overdosed in 1996. So this is after having sold Sid's bass to one of the founding members of the Sex Pistols, Steve Jones, for £2,000.
That's a good deal.
Like, are you kidding me? It's £2,000 for Sid Vicious's bass.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's probably worth way more now.
That's a bargain.
Yeah.
Now, again, fun fact, you may recall the name. This is the same Steve Jones who re-recorded Sid's bass tracks on their one singular album.
Right.
I find that incredibly ironic.
It is funny.
An incredible twist of fate.
You know, in documentaries and stuff, I watched like 2 of them last night on the Sex Pistols, just to, for a little background on the band and all that. And they don't really talk much about Sid Vicious. I don't know if the members of the band, they kind of gloss over there. Gloss over that part of the story. Johnny Rotten obviously went on. There was a band called Public Image Limited.
Yeah.
Who he went on to be part of. If you listen to that, and I never really listened to any of their music, but in doing the research for this, I checked some of the stuff out. That was in like 78. And it was very influential, I think, on a lot of the 80s bands.
Sure.
A lot of that synth and different type music.
Yeah,
I can dig that. I can dig that, yeah.
Yeah, so they kind of changed. But I wouldn't say Johnny Rotten is traditionally like a good singer, but he had a definite
he had a look,
style,
he had a style.
yeah, and all that. So, I mean, like I said, I'm a Sex Pistols. I like quite a few of their songs. I mean, I think, but maybe it's because they're the Sex Pistols. And that's what I wanted to ask you guys in the beginning, and I'll do it now. So this is me, and this is how let's say we're rating bands 1 to 10 and like a coolness factor. Automatically, when a band's like a foreign from another country, I automatically give them like a point or 2. For some reason, there's like a mystique or something when a band's from like another country. Like say for instance, like I like the band, and I think we all do, the band Ghost. It was like a heavier, like a metal band, I guess you'd say. They're from Sweden. If they were from like Memphis, right, or you know what I mean, or like Jacksonville, I don't think it'd be as cool as being from Sweden. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I can see what you're saying. There's a mystique to that, right? Like, oh, they're from this foreign place to which I've never been.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look what comes out of there. I wonder, do they get the same television shows that we have? Do they eat the same food that we do? It's just that. And I think I see what you're saying there. And there's certainly that level of mystique.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I got to give it no, to me, it's just going to be the music one way or another.
So Led Zeppelin, it doesn't matter. They're from England. It's just that it's Led Zeppelin.
Didn't matter. They were just awesome. In fact, so you mentioned Ghost. I had no idea that Ghost was from wherever the hell they were from.
From Sweden.
Right.
You didn't know that?
I mean, no, I'm saying I had heard a number of Ghost tracks
before that,
and then I found out that they were from Sweden.
And it didn't change anything.
Not a damn thing.
Okay.
Liked them already.
Matt?
I don't know. I think growing up, I didn't know where bands were from because they all sounded like they were like just singing American.
They all came from
they're it's all English.
Dude, that's a great point. Isn't it amazing? I'm serious. It is amazing that regardless of what country you're from, accents completely go away
in music. Yeah,
and some bands don't though. You don't think like some bands you can pick it up?
Like who?
Well, like Johnny Rotten.
Okay, so but he's not singing.
But he's just
yeah, definitely sounds British.
You sounds British. You're right.
He's just talking. He's just talking.
But I mean, like the Rolling Stones are a huge band in America. I thought they were like American. I didn't know they were from England growing up. You know what I mean?
Like, but they're
Led Zeppelin. They don't sound like they're singing like.
But they're trying to sing the blues, kind of like a blues infused
but it's
rock.
I don't even get my voice out of it, but I don't know. I just thought of them as.
How about you ever hear the band The Darkness?
Love The Darkness.
Yeah, so I think you can definitely hear that guy's like.
But they didn't get huge. They're not like a band that you'd be like, oh, like I'm putting on my Darkness album.
They're pretty big though. They were pretty big. Like I would think. I think there's some exceptions to that rule. That you can hear the accent. Men at Work, they're Australian. I can hear.
You can hear that. You can hear that. But we're talking like the 80s.
Nope. I can't hear it from Queen. I can't hear it from a number of bands.
You can, but that guy, he can sing. A lot of the British bands, you're right.
That boy can sing.
He can sing.
That boy,
nobody can hit Queen.
Terrible.
Queen.
I'll tell you what I hate is
octaves.
When foreign dudes try to rap.
Yeah,
that's fucking garbage.
So there's this show. It's called The Gentleman on Netflix.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie series.
I started it.
8 parts. God, it's such. Oh man, it's awesome. There's some English rap in there. God, it's terrible.
It's the worst.
It is British rappers, and it is just awful.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. Matt, your thoughts on that?
When we were just talking about music, like I don't remember growing up as a kid listening to like a lot of these bands being like, oh, those guys are like from England.
Right.
I just think of it as like cool music.
Well, I know what you mean on some bands, but there are bands I think that I hear, and that's just, like I said, it's all, I guess, preference.
And not
whatever.
for nothing, Foreigner, an American band. Great. They're great.
She's as cold as ice.
Fantastic.
Actually, Foreigner is good. I think they're going to be in Maryland. One of these.
Lou Graham.
Foreigner is good. But yeah, so that was a cool story though.
Yeah. Matt, thank you for the inspiration for that.
No, but when I don't know, some people say, like, think about it. The Sex Pistols, honestly, like the group with Sid, they had one album, pretty much.
So they put out an album that was ready to go, and then Sid basically joined a couple of weeks before they released the album.
Yes, but what I'm saying is we're talking about it now
because you asked us to.
Yes, but if you see, people have Sex Pistols t-shirts. People have, like, the Sex Pistols, I think, are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Maybe not.
People also have mental and physical handicaps.
I'm just saying the Sex Pistols still live on because they were the Sex Pistols.
Here's to put it in perspective how big the Sex Pistols are or were or whatever, however you want to say it. So my son, I have an 18-year-old son. He's into like rap music and stuff. He likes rock music too, but there's an artist named Juice WRLD who was a rapper. He died maybe a year or two ago. Younger kid that basically was a rapper maybe 2-3 years ago and passed away. He has a poster of him in his room and he's wearing a Sex Pistols t-shirt. The Juice WRLD is. So they were a type band that I think across genres and everything. That's what I said when we were talking upstairs earlier. I think Sex Pistols is one of those bands where if you know nothing at all about punk rock, you probably heard of the Sex Pistols or you heard of the Ramones, let's say. Mm-hmm. But a band like the Damned, who we were talking about in that, who are probably musically better.
Yeah, or like more albums,
right?
Better catalog that people are like, oh, who are the Damned?
That's right.
Nobody knows about
But I'm saying the Sex Pistols will always, Sid will always be, Johnny Rotten will always be the Sex Pistols. It's just something that 20 years from now, people still have Sex Pistols t-shirts.
Only because they'll be listening to this podcast.
Oh,
that's right.
That's amazing.
They might put an Old Dirty Basement t-shirt over their Sex Pistols t-shirt.
Right there.
Cool.
Check your podcast.
Neil Young did this track, that Hey, Hey, My.
Hey, hey.
I don't know that one.
My. It goes just like that.
Is it like that?
Yeah.
We got to turn the volume down on these cans, man. So that notwithstanding, he mentions Johnny Rotten in that song.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, did that song come out before Johnny Rotten existed or after Johnny Rotten?
What do you mean? That was after.
I'm not familiar enough with Neil Young, nor am I familiar enough with his library catalog.
You don't like Neil Young either?
To be clear, I am not familiar enough.
Gotcha.
So with that, I don't know when that track came out. Is it just by happenstance that he happened to use the term Johnny Rotten?
Mm-hmm.
Or was he inspired to use that name because he heard that before with the Sex Pistols? That's
a good question. We'll have to mailbag that. Also, did Def Leppard know about the iPhone before it came out?
Before Hysteria?
Yeah, red iPhone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I wonder.
Wait, what are you talking about?
How's that lyric go?
It's from Pour Some Sugar on Me.
And how's it go?
Living like a bomb.
That's correct. Well, so baby, come and get it on. Living like a lover with a red iPhone.
Yeah.
The red iPhone.
Yeah.
No, I think I don't. He's not talking about that. I think.
I hope not.
No, I think he's like it's like he's hungover or something with the red iPhone, like trying to make a call.
Time traveler.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's like a movie.
Yeah, we'll do that on the next podcast.
Oh,
Def Leppard, Time Travelers.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, that was a good one, Matt. Thanks for bringing that up. Zap, thanks for writing up and researching and all that. Yeah. And
sorry for the pain.
No, dude, I liked it.
It was worth it.
I liked it.
Despite not being a fan of punk music, I will admit I learned a lot. Mm-hmm. It was good to learn more about the mystique about this person, Sid Vicious, and his whore, Nancy Spungen.
Mm-hmm.
She was a professional.
I'm glad that I now have a well-rounded understanding of where this all comes from, and I get it. People are into it. Mm-hmm. The whole time I'm looking at this and doing this write-up, I could not stop thinking about Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love.
Yeah,
they kind of similar,
yeah.
Especially with the murder and everything, like what happened. What
that could be another one.
That could be.
Before we wrap, there's one more thing I did want to mention. After Sid died, all of it dropped. Like there was
No investigation.
zero, none.
Fun fact. So back then in
The Nancy thing, done. The Sid thing, done.
I heard a number that back then when this murder happened, New York City on average that year was like 2,000 murders or homicides.
Okay.
To put it in perspective, like in 2021, there was like 300. So you would think, there's more violence now, more deaths. But no, there were so many murders back then. It was such a shithole, basically, that they probably didn't have time or resources to keep investigating.
Thanks, Jimmy Carter.
Well, there was a whole thing with the druggies and prostitutes in New York at that time. Half of those didn't even get looked into. Yeah, because it was one of those things where it's like, why are we putting time and effort?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's fine. Let them kill themselves. I'm all for that.
Yes.
This is Darwinism. Go ahead, kill yourselves. It's fine.
I don't know about you guys, but my bollocks are getting sore, so
Mine
we better
too, man.
wrap it up.
Hey guys, can you wrap it up?
Ooh.
God, just in
Haven't
time.
heard her in a while. Jeez,
I know.
thank you.
I forgot her on,
down,
on the last one. I muted her.
Thank you, Mrs. Dave.
Yeah.
We needed that.
We do. But thanks for tuning in, and find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Dirty Basement and on TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We outie 5,000.